Hello guys. So today we're going to try to write whole numbers in words. So first, before we do that, I want you to look at this number here. How would you read this? You would read it as 3. This one, you would read it as 5. This one, you would read it as 9. And look at this one. How would you read it? Would you say 0, 9 and sound weird and everybody's looking at you weird? Or would you just read it as 9? Obviously, pretty sure you're not weird, so you probably will just go with 9. Now, that's reading one-digit numbers. I mean, except for that guy where the 0 really doesn't count, but that's how we would read a one-digit number. One-digit number. Now, let's look at another number here. 23, for example. How would you write it? You would write it as 23. Here's another number. You would write this and read it as 49. Here's another number. You would read this as 54. And here's another one. And you would read this as 98. Now, that's how you would read a two-digit number. So that means you have two digits in there, a 9 and an 8. So that's two digits, a 5 and a 4, two digits, a 4 and a 9, two digits, and so on. Now let me show you how to read a three-digit number. So example here, you would have 3, 2, 5. How would you read this? You would read this as 325. So that means if you see this number, how would you literally read it? By looking at, oh, that's 325. How would you read this number? You would read it as 454. Now again, do not try to read it as 454. Try not to write this, please. So it's just 454. Now let's make it a little bit more complicated. Let's say that you have a huge number that looks extremely weird. Just like that, right? Now, first of all, this is not a one-digit number. This is not a two digits. This is not a three-digit number. It looks just weird. So what would you do? I would advise you to start all the way from the back and start grouping them in terms of three. So what do I mean by this? Look at the left. So take this number with this number and this number. Make them a group of 3. So what would you do is you would put a comma right there to separate them so you can see this as a group of 3. We will do it again with the next numbers. So take group 7, 8, and 9. Put them together and separate it by a comma so you see this as a group of 3. Now the number looks better. It looks like this. Now why didn't I do it to this? Well, do I have 3 things to group here? No. So you don't do anything to this. Now, how would you read this number? One thing I want you to know is, you see a comma? You see that guy right there? That comma that you just put? Keep in mind that it stands for 1,000 when you're going to read it. This guy right there stands for a million. So how would you read this? So first, look at the 34 and forget about everything. So what is that number? This number is just 34. 4. Look at the next number. We know how to read this one. We just practiced on it. This is 987. So 987. And look at the last three numbers. How would you read this? 696. 696. Now, these commas, what is the business with them? Why did we put it down? Well, it's because after you read 34, what comes right after? Right after is the comma right there. So right after 34, what would you say? What would you have to put right after 34? You have to put the word million, just because of that comma right there. So after 34, you put the word million. After 987, what do you see right after? A comma. So what does that comma stand for? It stands for 1,000. So what would you put right after 987? You'll put 1,000. Then start reading it. So how would you read this? You would read it as 34,987,696. So that's how you would read it. So let's practice one more. So imagine that you have another weird number. I don't know. 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 6, 2, and then 4, for example. Again, what is the first step? This number looks too weird to me. So what you do is you start from the back here, and you start grouping them. You start making groups of 3. So you count 1, 2, 3. What do you put right after your comma? You do it again. 1, 2, 3. What do you put in front of this? A comma. You do it again. 1, 2, 3. Do I need a comma here? No, I don't, because there's nothing there. So then what you do is box them so you can clearly see it if you want. And keep in mind, what does this comma mean again? It means 1,000. The first comma, when you're studying to read it from right to left, when you're going from right to left, the first comma is always 1,000. The second comma is always stands for million. So let's do it again. Look at the first box. What does the first box is saying? 854. So all you have to do is write 854. Right? What comes after 854 is the comma. What does the comma stands for? Million. So what do we put right after this? Million. Now read the next box. What is it saying? 321. So 321. What comes right after 321? Another comma. And how would you read that comma? 1,000. So what do you put right after here? 1,000. And then what is the last box saying? 624. So what would I write here? Well, I would write 624. Now, let's read it. 854,321,624. So that's how you would read it. So thank you for watching, and make sure you guys practice.